Paranormal uh, Weekly. My name is HR. I'm your host. Uh, Tonight we're going to be talking to Gloria about paranormal attacks. So grab your coffee or whatever your favorite drink is, and let's get started. Um, Gloria, if you'd like to make a opening statement, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. Hi, HR. I've been experiencing the Mandela effect. Let me just say, probably about, I want to say 20 years. Didn't have a name for it, didn't know what it was, just kind of ignored it, really. Thought I was going insane sometimes. But then when they finally put a name to it, I guess it was like 2015. Yeah, kind of did a lot of research on it, and here I am having the experience, and it's pretty awesome.
All right. So let's get started. I'd like to ask you a series of questions. Whatever questions you don't want to answer or too private, you can just say skip. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's start with your most recent encounter with the paranormal. Uh,
Right. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Um, what was your most recent attack?
I personally, I don't get like spiritual attacks with the Mandela effect. For
Okay.
me, the Mandela effect is a very positive thing, but
Okay.
I do hear about a lot of people that are under spiritual attacks.
Okay. And what sort of attacks do you hear about?
Um, I noticed that with the spiritual attacks, a lot of it is happening to religious people. I don't have a religion. Okay. I study Buddhism. I've studied all different kinds of religion. I grew up in a Catholic household, which, I never followed. I was never really into that. I mean, I've studied Christianity, like I said, Buddhism, all different religions. And I noticed that a majority of people that are under spiritual attacks are Christian Catholics, people, you know, of religion that are really deep in their religion.
Right, right. Yeah, I have noticed this too recently.
Mhm.
I've noticed a overabundance of attacks. I can't say if it was demonic or ghost centered or something else, but yeah, I've seen something going on in the community. Um, can you share, kind of elaborate on what you've been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I come across a lot of videos, and like I said, 99.9% of the people are religious people,
Right.
and a lot of them say that just for no reason at all, their world is like turned upside down, and they're depressed, and they feel like a negative energy attached to them, and they actually start to see things, apparitions, and they feel, like that kind of feeling when something negative is in the house, or you're being watched and stuff like that. And I hear a lot of people going through that, and it's really, really hard. It's really hard for them because they've never experienced anything, like that, anything paranormal, and for them, it's a really big deal. And I've watched a lot of videos of people crying and asking for help, and it's very sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, I have too actually. I've also noticed a lot of different things happening around the world um, with spiritual phenomena of all different kinds. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not just ghosts or demons, or I mean, we're seeing it across the board. Everything you can think of, you know. Can you share some of the things you've seen in these videos of people getting attacked?
Well, I could tell you, I've done a lot of research on it.
Okay.
For me, the Mandela effect has been a very positive thing, and extremely. I have no words, HR, to describe how thankful I am to God, you know, for what I'm experiencing, because I'm waking up, and to me, that's a blessing. And I noticed that a lot of people that are on the spiritual attack, they cling to their Bibles, and their Bibles to them is the Word of God, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they put so much into this book, for protection, and it's the Word of God, and He would never let anything happen to us. And now that it's changing, supernaturally just changing on its own, they're getting scared, and they feel, I think, that, okay, how is God letting this happen? Satan is winning, and he's able to change the Word of God, and if Satan is able to do that, then he's going to destroy us because we love God. And what they're doing by doing that and believing that, having that belief system, they're actually attracting the negative entities to allow them to be abused, to come into their lives. And
Right.
really
Yeah.
how I look at it. And I don't think that they understand that because they're so fearful.
Yeah.
And
It's definitely kind of a catch 22 where people are noticing the changes, they're noticing the things going on, and they're saying, well, this could be, signs and wonders in the Bible, or it could
Mhm.
be just plain old demonic attack. It could be that God is allowing it
Right.
for the end times or whatever. Um, but I've been hearing a lot of attacks. I mean, not not just a few, not just even on the religious community, but on everyone that's affected by the Mandela effect. I mean, I've been hearing about people getting attacked in their homes. People are getting attacked on the street by cars hitting them or something happening to them. People are getting attacked online when they come online. People are just irrationally attacking them for no reason, and a lot of it. I mean, of course, you can track it back to some sort of dimensional entity or demonic attack, but even that. I mean, you've got to say, well, that's not everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's not everything. I mean, there has to be something else. It can't just be this one thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
Uh, Go ahead.
I look at it like, okay, I have a few friends that are Mandela affected, which I hate that phrase, Mandela
Wow.
affected, you
Yeah.
know. And we're having great experiences. We're having, you know, a lot of great things happen. And I think that people that, like I said, and they don't have to be people of faith, religion, or anything, but it depends on how you look at this. I mean, you could have someone that's not Christian or not Catholic, has no religion whatsoever, and they're still getting attacked.
Yeah.
Think it's the way you look at what's happening. If you look at it as a negative thing, then it's going to attract negative. It's
Right.
going to manifest negative. It's going to leave that door open for that, I guess, other dimension or other realm or other frequency, whatever you want to call it, where, you know,
Yeah.
bad spirits live, and you're opening that porthole, that vortex for them to come in because
Yeah.
it's what you believe.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think it goes back to this whole if you the way you observe things is the way
Yes.
those things become.
Exactly.
Um,
It's like you manifest it. You really manifest it yourself. And I
right.
know that's a hard pill for some people to swallow. They could say, no, I'm a very positive person, and all of a sudden the Mandela thing happened and all this is happening. So I'm going to say that it's a negative thing because, everything was always positive. But then you have to think, okay, when you started watching Mandela videos and you started hearing these stories about spiritual attacks or people saying that it was a negative thing and it was Satan, maybe you made that your belief system without you even realizing it. Therefore, you open up that vortex, you open up that portal.
Portal, yeah, to portal to these whatever
Right, right.
these things are. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I I want to ask you. You said that you've had you know uh, uh, good experiences with the Mandela effect. That's great. Um, but have you been trying to help these other people that are dealing with these kind of things? And if so, how are you helping them? You know what I mean?
As far as them being under attack,
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
the, the only people that I know are under attack, like I said, my friends are not experiencing that.
Okay.
What they are experiencing for the first time in their lives, which I've experienced since as far as I can remember, about 4 years old, but what they're starting to experience with this positive Mandela thing is they're starting to now see apparitions from the corner of their eyes, or they're starting to have very vivid dreams of people that passed over that are telling them things. They're becoming more intuitive.
Right. Right.
Okay. Which in itself is scary too, because my girlfriend's never seen an apparition before, and all of a sudden she's like, "Gloria, I could see something from the corner of my eye. It went across the room," and you know, it's
Yeah.
a little scary for them too. But it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing.
Well, that's good. I know that you told me before the show that you're an empath. Um, how is how was your life before you encountered the Mandela effect? Being
The
an
hon-
empath.
the honest truth,
Yeah.
exactly the way it is right now. I've always been this way. I've always seen changes. I was always able to um, see apparitions. I've been like this my whole life. I just feel like I'm more excited now because other people are experiencing it, where before I always kept it to myself. I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I didn't think it was different, or I just never really labeled it as anything. I just said, this is me, this is who I am, and that was it. I never really even told anybody. It's very few people that know that, I have psychic abilities and all that. That very few people know it. But yeah, so
Now I know that as an empath, um, you are you have encountered, and also as a psychic, things that other people maybe haven't encountered yet. Being new to being an empath or new to
right.
be, addressing these things. Do you have advice on what they can do, how they can um, utilize their I guess gifts?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like I tell a couple of my girlfriends, like I said, that are new to the experiences too that's going on, and they get kind of scared. Not that they feel like it's negative, but it's new to them, and they get bits and pieces of things, in dreams, or for instance, they're watching TV and they hear somebody whisper in their ear and things like that. And I always tell them, write it down. Don't get scared. Write down what you hear. Write down what you experience. Keep a journal, because somebody's trying to tell you something. And it always comes together like a puzzle. You could write down your experiences for a week, and even dreams that you remember, and just write them all down, and after a week something would unfold. And
Right.
it's wow, that's what somebody was trying to tell me. Or that's why, like, I seen a shadow near the clock and I noticed it was 7 o'clock. Write all these things down, because they are messages.
Yeah.
They are, you know.
Okay. Yeah. And so you were telling me that you have experienced this stuff your whole life. You encountered spiritual beings. You encountered um, demons. You encountered other things. Can you share a bit about that? Because you specifically mentioned something to me, and I just want to see if you want to share that.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, as far as, like, the spiritual attack thing, I think it's kind of different than what I'm gonna explain. I remember. Oh, it was horrible. I remember as a little girl, this happened to me a couple of times, but I never said anything to, my parents, because back then, they were
Yeah,
crazy. And right to them, everything was demonic. So you couldn't say anything. But I remember when I was 16 years old, I had my own apartment and I was in school and I worked and I took care of myself. And I remember laying in bed, and like I said, I had this experience a couple of times as a kid, but when I was 16, I would get them really frequent, like 2, 3 times a week sometimes. I'd be laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, just dozing off. And all of a sudden I would feel something crawling on the bed. Like you could feel the mattress, the indentation, like of a footstep, of a crawl. And the next thing you know it, I am completely, not only I'm frozen from fear, but I can't move.
Yeah.
I can't move my body. I am paralyzed. And my eyes are the only thing that I can move are my eyes, but I can only move them very slow. And I can't look side to side. I could only look up and straight. That's it. Like I can't see what's on me or what's doing it.
Right.
Completely frozen. And in my head, I was screaming so loud, but nothing was coming out.
Yeah.
Matt's not moving, nothing's coming out, but I could hear myself screaming. And it would go on for a little bit, which, I mean, it would feel like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then the next thing you know, I would wake up because I would fall asleep.
Right.
It's not like it would, they would come off of me and I would get up and go, oh my God, what happened? It's nothing like that. I would always fall asleep and wake up and then, start freaking out. And I'm like, okay, okay, but I would always fall asleep. And the only thing I could think of is either they made me fall asleep
Yeah.
or because I was screaming so much, I used so much energy to try to move my body or
Yeah.
to try to, that I actually fell asleep, maybe even passed out. I don't know,
Right. Right.
but that happened. That was happening a lot. It was happening a few times a week for me for a while. And
What did you think this was? Did you think it was demonic?
well, we talked about this before as far as
Right.
spirits and entities or
Incubus.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I did not feel that this was a good spirit
Okay.
at
Did it?
all.
Did it? Did it? Was there any other, anything related to this encounter? I mean, like, do you feel that it was a sexual in nature or just an attack?
Not No, not sexual. Like I didn't feel anything that way, like
Yeah.
penetrated or
Yeah.
anything. No,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, but I didn't feel that. I just felt that I was being pinned down
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to move. And that's it. And that's what it made me feel like you're going nowhere,
Okay. And
basically.
this went on for a few times a week for how long?
Uh, for about, I want to say a year, for about a year.
And then it stopped, or you moved out, or
No, I moved out of the apartment, but it stopped and then it would only happen once in a while. And I haven't had that extreme experience in a very, very long time. Now, what I get is I start to feel that crawling on the bed. I mean, you feel I don't know if anybody could relate to what I'm saying, but you actually feel the bed move like a footstep, like that indentation. And I feel it and I completely get up. I get up and I'm like, no way. And I'm like, leave me alone. This is not happening. You're not welcome here. And it goes away. And it
okay,
goes away. I'm not, I don't get frozen, scared, frozen where I can't do anything anymore. And it's able to take over me that way. Now I'm more strong
I
than
see.
than it. So, and as soon as I say, just go away, you're not welcome here. This is not happening. It stops. It
Okay,
stops. But I hate that feeling because it is negative, HR. It is negative, and I hate to admit that because I don't like to think of, anything being negative, but it is.
okay.
You know.
Well, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I felt it's important. If other people being um, are being attacked in this manner, I want them to understand exactly what's attacking them. Okay, that this is uh, possibly demonic in nature. Definitely not good. Okay, and if you are experiencing this, then you need to address it. Okay, and
Mhm.
um, I think Gloria, you've told me how you've cleansed your house. Could you go ahead and share it with everybody?
I sage my house a lot. I meditate, and when I do meditate, I sage, and I do a lot of prayer meditation.
Okay.
And that helps a lot. You know, when I say a negative energy, okay, see, I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in anything like that. I believe in entities. I believe in other, maybe from different realms, different dimensions. I don't know, that are very, I say demonic, but I don't mean like the devil himself, Satan, because like I said, I don't believe in that. But I do think that there are good spirits, and there are good souls, and there are bad souls.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Mm, well, when I say demonic, I mean not good,
Right.
doesn't have your good intentions at heart, uh,
Right.
and is looking out to fulfill its own
Right.
agenda, whatever that happens to be. Usually, it has to do with feeding on negative emotions
Mm-hmm.
that it creates. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
usually it's fear, and
Yeah.
then it pretty much sucks off your energy.
Yeah.
And uh, these things can, if left go for years, kill you.
Well,
Um,
it could drive you crazy.
yeah, and drive you crazy on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're doing it, so that's why I kind of wanted to address this evening because I have heard this myself from a few people that they were encountering things in their homes that were, causing sleep paralysis, that were causing, uh, you know, uh, things to happen in their homes, uh, poltergeist activity in their homes. Um, things being knocked off of shelves,
Mm-hmm.
things following them.
Now, are you talking about people that have been Mandela affected, or just people in general? Just
Oh,
people in general, right?
no, I'm talking about Mandela affected people. I talk to a lot of people, and I have uh, encountered quite a few people who have experienced these things. Some are minor experiences, and some are major in
Mm-hmm.
occurrence. I mean, I know I interviewed Ty here about demonic activity, and he was saying that his children used to see things following him, like like the knickknacks would come off the shelf and float behind him in perfect line, and then he would turn around and they would just be back on the shelf.
Now, wouldn't you think that that would be his own energy?
Well, no, 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 because he had no idea. He had no idea, not a clue.
So he
And
didn't feel their energy, he didn't feel anything
no,
present that was
no, he didn't
happening.
feel it. No, and then it
Wow.
disappeared. The kids were freaking out. He uh, he didn't see it because he would turn around and it would it would teleport back to where it started. Now
Mm,
humans can't do that. Okay, um, demonic entities can. Humans can't tell the human spirits or ghosts. They can't teleport things. Uh,
right.
only demonic spirits can do that. So we know that's probably what it was. But in dealing with these things, there are, as Gloria said, some things that we can do to ward off or cleanse our home. Um, one is definitely to uh, use white sage and
Mhm.
smudge your home. Open the windows when you do. Always go in a clockwise um, pattern around your room. And as you cleanse it, as you feel the room being cleared, then take salt and water and make a mark on the window. And you could even put a line of salt across the window ledge if you like, to just make sure that nothing can come back. Um, then once you've done this to the entire house, you go outside, make a line of salt around your house, and then further around your property. And this can ward off some of the negative entities, the negative effects, the attacks. Um, but I know that you've lived in a couple of places, Gloria. I think you were originally from Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay, and in Brooklyn, um, this is where this stuff started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Brooklyn, and these apartments are very old,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so they retain memories of a lot of things. Sometimes ghosts, sometimes demonic
Well,
activity.
if you think about it, everything does. I mean, you could have, say, a watch that you keep on your counter for a year straight, and then you go and take that watch away. That counter still has that residual, not residual, essence. It's still there. It's still like it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying. But
So that happens with
the reason I mention it is simply that older places usually come equipped with one or two extra things.
yeah.
So yeah, so you encountered it in Brooklyn, and it followed you to your new location. I'm not going to say where that is, but to your new location, and you said that you actually had to uh, get up and tell it to leave, because it was, trying to snake its way back on you again.
You know, the thing that I mean, it took me a really long time, but um I realized something that when you fear it, it'll eat you up alive.
Oh yeah,
And it's easy to say that, don't, it's easy to say you shouldn't fear it, but when it happens and it like freezes you to death practically, you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to let this happen. And you have to say it out loud. And you don't say, I mean, oh, in Jesus' name, on this name, and that. No, you talk to it one on one and say, I am not afraid of you. Go away. I'm not paying attention to you. I am God's child. You will not hurt me. Do you understand
yeah,
that? See, it's the same thing. Like a lot of people sage and they'll read the Bible, and there's nothing wrong with that. Me, when I sage, I talk. I don't read from anything. You know, I
yeah,
say, you're not allowed here. You need to leave. You're not welcome here. You'll never be welcomed here. Get out. The door is open. I go off.
yeah,
I
yeah,
become the strong one. I'm not like, just please leave and, in Jesus' name. And, no, don't fear it. Don't fear it because it'll make it worse. And I want to point this out that the first time you do sage,
yeah,
that night, it's the activity is going to get worse.
yeah.
You didn't get rid of it completely that time because usually I would sage 2, 3 days in a row.
Right, right,
Kind of angers them and the activity gets more crazy. And then the second time around you do it, usually it's gone and you feel it. The room feels lighter, everything feels lighter. So,
right, right.
you know,
Now, do you have family, brothers, sisters?
I have one sister, she passed away.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Did any of your family experience anything that you know of?
Oh, yeah, of course, we all did. But, I grew up with the real Italian family. So my grandmother was like, she didn't speak English. So it was like the devil, diavolo, it's the devil, it's the devil. Come, you probably have a curse on you. This woman put a curse on you. And she would do all this, I don't know, weird kind of stuff to fight
Yeah,
away spirits. And I used to sit there and laugh at her. I was like, oh, you're a wacko. I never like fell into it. I never like believed anything she was saying. I was like, okay, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, they looked at it differently than I did.
Right, right,
Because when I was little and I seen apparitions, I, I wasn't scared. I just wasn't scared of them. Sometimes I would go, oh, hello. And I do that now. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I see you. I just want you to know that I'm not going to be able to hear you, but I do see you.
Okay.
And I don't, but then there are times when you don't want to do that because what you feel is not that feeling. It's more like, oh, somebody's here and they shouldn't be here. And you feel it. Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
that's when you turn around and go, you need to leave because I'm not even going to pay attention to you.
I understand.
You
Um,
know,
yeah, the Mandela effect. community is made up of a lot of empaths and
Mhm,
a lot of psychics, and
mhm.
you we've all experienced things, on one level or another. Some of us are, mediums. Some of us are just psychics. Some of us are just really super strong empaths. Um, you know, um, do you think that because of that, um, we're picking up more because the spiritual world is more active at this time?
Yeah, because I feel that people that like a lot of people, like you said, that are experiencing this, some of them are empaths and some of them are psychics and they didn't know it. And now that this is happening and they're looking at things change in real time right before their eyes, they're understanding that there's more to this than what they thought. So now they're open to it and now they're starting to experience more things. Then
Right.
they're open to it now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult sometimes because um, if you weren't really a big believer in
Right.
psychic abilities, and then you experience the Mandela effect, and it opens the door,
Hmm.
um, it could be overwhelming.
Well, yeah, you're like 2 steps away from the crazy house.
Yeah,
Seriously. I mean, I've experienced this, like I said, my whole life, and there are changes that I'm noticing that I'm not gonna lie, there were times when I was in a fetal position for a few minutes, and I had to talk myself out of it and go, "It's okay, you know what this is?" And because I think that the brain can only comprehend so much,
right,
and you have to kick in and be like, okay, this is what it is and it's okay. And, it fights you. It's like, no, but this is not supposed to be happening. What's happening? And you go kind of go back and forth with it. And then after a little bit, you're like, okay, I'm all right. I got it. I understand what it is. But the initial, it's like a shock.
right,
Like you're driving down the street and you see a building that's never been there before, or a building structure completely changed overnight. A brand new building looks like it's been there for 80 years and now the business is closed down when it was opened last week. These things, they could really mess with your head.
Well, yeah, because it seems like the supernatural as well.
Yeah.
To have a 2 story or a 10 story motel hotel become a 2 story hotel overnight.
Hmm.
Yeah, that can mess with your brain.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
the thing about that too is like there's really nobody, like you can't make a video about that because who's going to know your own experience?
right,
So the first person I thought of was my son, and my son is like back and forth with the ME. It's like back and forth for him. Some things he remembers, some things he remembers the way it is now. And I was scared to death to ask him. And I said, you know what, I have to. And then I'm like, you know what, you don't need validation from anybody. You knew what it looked like, but then that my brain had to, because it was just overwhelming for me. And I had asked my son, and I said, "Do you remember what this hotel looked like?" I says, "How many stories?" And he's like, 10 stories. And I'm texting him, and I'm like, "Where was the sign?" And he described it exactly the way it is. And I send him a picture, and I says, "Well, what's this?" And he goes, "What are you sending me a picture of the garage for, of the hotel garage?" I'm like, "No, honey, that's what the hotel looks like now." And he was speechless. He didn't know what to say. He says, "Ma," he goes, "Come on, stop." I'm like, "Do you want me to fly you back here so you can see it?" And he's like, "I don't even know what to say." I'm like, "I don't know what to say either."
exactly. But um, what do you do with that?
You have to sit and you have to get out of the way. You have to say, okay. You can't watch Mandela videos and agree with all the logo changes, and then when something changes in your life, go, "Oh no, it can't be." It's either you're in or you're not. You
Right,
know,
right. And this could seem paranormal, right?
absolutely.
I mean, when things change overnight, and you could feel like you're in the twilight zone. You're you're not you're either becoming mental or if you're not becoming mental, then maybe somebody's playing a trick.
Right.
And
Right.
once you go through that, you realize, holy crap, none of those things are possible. None of these things are happening. So it must really be happening.
Right.
And then that's when, you're struck by this, and it's a paranormal experience in itself because nobody ever thought that the world would be so malleable,
Right. Right.
changing. And you know to have something change overnight like that is definitely I would say a paranormal experience. um but the point of this show was to talk about how our community is being attacked, and I could say that part of this attack is these dimensional whatever they are, um, grabbing other people and using them as you know people to attack, attacking uh, you know uh, regular folks, and causing trolls and creating problems in chat rooms. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it like a rolling thunder. I've seen it'll go from person to person, starting problems, and then the next thing you know, a whole entire chat room is
Mhm.
you know uh, freaking out, and the only thing I can equate it to is, I call it demons, because they're just trying to create a problem, you know
Right.
and it's not anything good. It's not, they're trying to say something nice or say something good. No, they're attacking, and they're irrationally attacking. And then if you turn the show off, they go to the next place and they attack.
But
No,
what if people that were on the spiritual attack said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna fear this anymore.
well,
Look at it as a positive thing." Now, if you look at it as a positive thing, aren't you putting up a shield in a way?
yeah,
And
you possibly,
right,
possibly, but at the same time, I think that the problem is people do not realize they're under attack. Until it's too late, it's already occurring. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get a 5-second warning. I mean,
right.
it just sort of happens, and then you know it'll leave you. And once it's left you, you're just kind of sitting there going, "What just happened?"
And then it escalates from there.
Right, right. It jumps to the next person.
Right.
Time and space mean nothing.
Right.
So it can jump from person to person in a chat room all over the world. You know what I mean? There's no boundaries.
You
Um,
you have to, I mean, you know this, you have to surround yourself with the white light, and you have to, you can't fear it. Eh,
right, and cleansing is important. I
yeah.
also think using some sort of a, um, you know, frankincense and myrrh, incense, or essential oil,
Mhm.
something that creates that aroma, because that aroma is a cleansing aroma.
Not only is that aroma a cleansing aroma, but it does something to you too when you smell it.
Right.
Okay, it makes you very, like the frankincense. I burn frankincense,
Yeah.
and it makes me very relaxed.
Right.
Especially, even if I'm not saging the house, I still burn sage if I'm reading or whatever. But the smell itself makes you very, very relaxed.
Right. Right.
And that's a good thing, because then you're letting anxiety go, you're letting fear go, you're letting any kind of negative thinking go, all of that. So it's always good to just burn that, you know,
Yeah.
to keep you in that place.
I absolutely agree. I think that that's an important part of it. Mindset, again, can't stress enough.
Yeah,
Mindset. If you are religious, if you do believe in Jesus Christ, then of course, if you call on Jesus Christ, do so. If
right.
if you're not religious, then you need to do these things that
Or
we
call on source, or
yeah,
call on whoever it is that,
God or
right.
whatever. But you need to do these things that we've laid out before you, to cleanse your area. Also try to keep your area, clean. Like picked up and not cluttered and not, it helps.
Well,
And
what I think is really important too, I mean, especially if you're, if you have children in the family and the children are always fighting and yelling, or you're fighting with your spouse, any kind of negative energy just makes it escalate.
right, right.
You have to keep that on a down low, and especially after you sage your house, you don't want fights and arguing, and you got to kind of take that outside.
Because it kind of pulls the negative energy right
Sure
back
does.
into the home.
Mhm.
And then you've kind of defeated the purpose.
Exactly. Because we're magnets. We attract what we feel.
Right.
If you feel happy, then you're going to attract happy. If
Yeah.
that's just how it is. Our energy, we're magnet energies, energy magnets, rather. I said it backwards.
Absolutely. So what I wanted to get at is, Gloria, you've been online now for a while. You've been with the Mandela community for a while. Um, what is your overall takeaway from this discussion? I mean, do you see that um, this attack is a um, sometimes it can be brought on by our own hands, right?
I believe it's a manifestation of fear. Yeah, I do.
Right. But also sometimes it can be our environment, um, the people that are around us, you know, um, we can actually pull it into our life.
But
If
that's easier to get rid of when it's coming from people around us.
right.
But when it's our own manifestation of it, that's when it's harder to get rid of.
Yeah, when you pulled it in yourself. Also, just as I'm just going to throw this out here. Of course, I'll mention it. Alcohol, drugs, um, whatever, uh, those kind of addictions open the door to, spiritual attack. Okay. They just do.
Well, I think that negative energy looks at it this way. Hey, if you don't care about yourself, then you're easy prey.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And, also, I mean, this Mandela effect has been very difficult on everybody, and we've all tried to deal with it in our own ways. Um, we've experienced all kinds of changes, time anomalies, uh, and now, paranormal anomalies too, on top of it.
right,
So, I guess the takeaway we need to offer is that, we have to, if we're okay, we have to share our okay with others, because you know what? Not everybody's okay right now.
right.
Somebody's experiencing something rough, and we need to band together as a community, and start addressing these problems.
I think it's really, really, really important that people that are under attack truly believe and make this their belief system, that God is not going to make anyone hurt you. He's just not, and you got to trust them. And not only that, but if he didn't want the Bible to change, he wouldn't allow it, because no one is stronger than him.
Right,
This is not to hurt you. You have to believe that he's with you 100%. He's making you see this. Whether he's doing it or it's somebody else is doing it, it doesn't matter. Believe in him and you will be fine. Don't be afraid, because nobody's stronger than him.
right. You're right.
You
And
know?
they say that there would be a famine of the word, and this may be it. This may be the famine of the word. And So if you are a Christian, you need to read your Bibles now. You need to study every day and try
Well,
to
you
keep
know what? The Bible's a changing, so maybe you need to have a personal relationship with God.
as well. Yeah, in Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
because it's hard to even read the Bible these days. I mean, there's people in there you've never heard of. There's so many. It's like terrible. This it sounds like porn. I don't know half these things that are in there. It's better to just remember, what you remember in your heart, and just have a personal relationship with God or Jesus, whoever it is that you believe to be your creator, and
Right.
talk to Him. And just don't be afraid because I don't think it's a negative thing. How could it be a negative thing? And if, like I said, and if you feel that it's a negative thing, you're gonna manifest that. You're an open door, you're easy prey. You're the smallest sheep of the group, and that's what the lion's gonna attack.
Yeah,
You have to not be afraid. Try to change your way of thinking and say, hey, this is a positive thing. My father would not allow this to happen if it was going to hurt me in any way.
I
So you need to leave. You're not welcomed here.
exactly, exactly. And I guess that the whole takeaway from the show is that you know uh, we are a community. We're not individuals. If you need help, ask for help, and if you can give help, do it.
Right.
Okay, because we have to band together and take care of each other. Because we're all we got in this changing reality. We never know where we're going to be next day, or what's going to be around us the next day. So, um, you know, do the best you can to, help as many people as you can. And if you're struggling, then reach out to somebody and get some help. Don't try to face it alone. You know, um, you got a closing statement, Gloria?
If you're going to reach out for help, reach out to the people that are experiencing the same thing as you, because reaching out to somebody who's not experiencing it will make it worse. Like, I don't think that's a good idea because this really is happening and you're not crazy. None of us are crazy. It's really happening. And those that are not experiencing it, well, they're gonna look at you like you're nuts, and then you're gonna actually start to think yourself and wonder if you're really nuts, and you don't want that. Reach out to a community. There's many YouTube channels, like this one here, and you can always go on the chat and you know, talk about it. Just don't be afraid because I really think that it's a positive thing and God will always have our best interest because we're his children and he wouldn't let anything harm us. He won't.
Thank you, Gloria. I appreciate you coming on this show tonight. I appreciate everybody that's watching. Um, thank you very much, guys. And we'll be back next week with another show. Have a good week and and keep moving.
And go
God
by
bless.
stage.
That's right. Go buy you some sage. God bless.
God bless.